And so, for example, you're using it to complete a task, it's giving you an accurate assessment, you're pretty happy with it, right? Trust becomes much more problematic when it starts to touch core pieces of identity that the person is using it for or potentially not using it for. So that's where like you see a lot of pushback from the creative industries, writing, film, production, right? Like actors, where they're just kind of saying like, hey, this is my work, this is my life's work, my voice, my look, my skills, and now these things are part of the internet, in image data and in film data, and now it's being used by this tool to create things that's taking advantage of my originality and what I own, and that's a problem for me. And I think as a creative writer or as a musician or as an artist, this becomes much more problematic because it's touching on a piece of you that you have invested years in, where your process and the quality of output has been tightly coupled for millenniums. And now it's being broken apart in a very disruptive way. And I think that's really hard for people to come to terms with it. Trust is also problematic when you're talking about younger people and people who don't have as much experience and who are not really born technologists, who then are using it in a way to de-skill and to do cognitive offloading. And I wrote about this, in a way that doesn't actually make them better, right? So it makes their product better, but it doesn't make them better. And if the skills that you want to cultivate, you want to be truly good at them, but you work in a way where you can't really get better, and all you're doing is just being lazy, then I think that is also a problem with trust. I have my husband, who is like a senior developer, has had to review code from junior developers who use AI to write the code. Now, these tools have the entire experience of the internet, so it writes really sophisticated code. But the junior developers don't understand it. They just know that it works when it passes certain tests, but they don't understand the why. And once people stop asking the why, and you can't really ask the why with generative AI, that starts to be problematic. So we also have a lot of articles now talking about senior developers who are feeling the sort of the burning out at their companies pushing them to use AI to increase their workload and be more efficient. But what they're actually doing is they're reviewing code that's written by generative AI, but the code is like so much longer and more sophisticated. And so they have to spend more time making sure it's accurate, but also not being able to know why someone else gave them that code. So you take the efficiencies, you increase the work that's being produced from junior developers, but what you're actually doing is also at the expense of people who have expertise. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics going now in this space that I think where trust will continue to be part of the conversation for quite a while.